I still remember the moment my sister looked at me. Not with love, not with excitement, not even with nervousness, but with a quiet, calculated distance. It was the same look strangers give one another on a crowded street, polite, cold, and forgettable. I never thought she'd look at me that way. Not after all the years we spent building each other, protecting each other, surviving the same storms that came for our family. But I guess some storms don't come from the outside. Some are born inside the people we love the most. Before I take you into the heart of this story, before I show you the day my sister tried to erase me from her life, I want to ask you something gently. From a place of honesty and trembling memory, please, stay till the end. Like this video, subscribe if you feel the emotions in my voice. And let me tell you a story you'll never forget, a story about betrayal, quiet strength, and a kind of revenge that life delivers in its own time, because that's what this is. The story of how my sister tried to exclude me from her big day, and how the woman I became afterward was someone she never expected. It started 3 months before her wedding. She called me late at night. Her voice flat, almost rehearsed. I answered with excitement. I thought she was calling to ask for help or to tell me about her lehenga, or to show me the jewelry she'd picked. Instead, she exhaled slowly and said, I think it's better if you don't come, just like that. No build-up, no explanation, just a single sentence that sliced through me like glass. I laughed at first. Not because it was funny, but because I thought she was joking. You're not serious, I whispered. You want me there, right? But silence answered me before she did. A long, painful silence. Then her voice came back, but it wasn't my sister's voice anymore. It was controlled, careful. It's him, she said. You know how he feels about you, her fiancé. The man who once told me I was too opinionated, as if having a backbone made me disrespectful. The man who said sisters should stay in their limits, and my sister, my own sister, absorbed those words like holy truth. I just want a peaceful wedding, she added. And you bring drama. Double quotes drama. That word echoed in my ears for days. She said it like I was a stain, a problem, a presence that spoiled the air. Girls grow up thinking their sisters are their safe place. I grew up believing the same. But that night, I learned that even the safest places can turn into prisons when the doors close from the inside. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I didn't explain myself. I just hung up the call and sat on the edge of my bed for a long time, feeling my heartbeat in the quiet, feeling the weight of every memory we had ever shared. There's a kind of pain that doesn't burn loudly. It doesn't scream. It doesn't shatter. It just sits inside your chest like a slow, steady ache that no one else can see. And that's what I carried silently for weeks. I watched the wedding preparations happening without me. Her posts, her many pictures, her stories with cousins she barely even spoke to, but now couldn't imagine the wedding without. Everyone assumed I was busy. Everyone assumed I had prior commitments. No one knew the truth, because I didn't have the courage to tell anyone. Not yet. I kept waiting for her to change her mind, for her to suddenly realize how cruel it was, for her to remember the sister who stood by her through every heartbreak, every fight, every dark moment she ever had. But she didn't. People talk about heartbreak like it only happens in romantic relationships. But sometimes family wounds cut deeper than any lover ever could, and that was only the beginning. Asterisk, the closer the wedding came, the more invisible I became. My parents floated between confusion and helplessness. They didn't understand why I wasn't involved, why I wasn't staying up late folding trays or stitching little gifts, or arguing with caterers like I used to. Talk to your sister, my mother said softly one night. She's stressed. She didn't mean it, but what do you say when the wound isn't an accident, but a choice? I didn't tell my mother the truth, that her elder daughter had cut the younger one out to keep her future husband happy. I didn't want to break her heart. So I kept silent. I kept pretending. I kept swallowing the hurt whole, but hurt has a strange way of transforming itself. It either destroys you, or it pushes you into a version of yourself you didn't know you could become. 2 weeks before the wedding, I made a decision not to attend, not to ask, not to explain. But to grow. To become someone who didn't need anyone's permission to exist or to matter. I started focusing on my own life, my work, my dreams that I had neglected for years while holding everyone else together. I realized something painful. I had spent so long being my sister's backbone that I had forgotten. I had one of my own, the guilt, the betrayal, the rejection. I carried them quietly. But I didn't let them bury me. And then the wedding day arrived. I didn't attend. I didn't watch the live videos. I didn't stalk the pictures. I simply stayed home and made myself a cup of tea with shivering hands and a heart that felt strangely empty and strangely free. But life has a way of circling back. The first message came from an aunt. Why weren't you there? Everyone asked about you. The second came from a cousin. Your sister looked upset. She kept looking around, and then, late at night, my sister herself called. She didn't congratulate me. She didn't apologize. She didn't explain. She just cried, soft, trembling sobs that cracked through the speaker and into the room around me. I thought you'd come anyway, she whispered. I thought you'd fight for me. I closed my eyes. And for the first time, I didn't feel guilty. I felt calm. You asked me not to come, I said quietly. And I listened, but I didn't think you would, she cried. A strange thing happens when someone who rejected you suddenly wants you back. Their regret is loud. Their realization is sharp. But your heart is no longer waiting. It hurt, I told her. But I won't beg to be where I'm not wanted. Silence. A painful, heavy silence. Then she said it, the sentence that shaped the rest of our story. I think I made a mistake. Not about the wedding, not about the guest list. But about choosing people who didn't care for her over the ones who always did. That was the night I realized that regret is its own kind of revenge, and I didn't have to lift a finger for it. Asterisk. Life after her wedding changed, not because I demanded it, but because distance has a way of teaching people what presence used to mean. She tried quietly to mend things. A message here, a call there, an attempt to include me in small things, but something inside me had shifted. Not with anger, not with bitterness. Just understanding. Understanding that love without respect is just dependence. That loyalty without reciprocity is just self-sacrifice. And that my value was never meant to be measured by anyone's approval. Months passed. I worked harder than I ever had. I built myself piece by piece into someone I could be proud of. Opportunities came. Not by magic, by effort, by resilience, by choosing myself in the moments where others had failed to choose me. The more I grew, the more regret appeared in my sister's eyes every time we met. It was subtle. A small pause when she hugged me. An extra second of silence when she looked at my achievements. A softness in her voice when she said my name. Regret is rarely loud. Sometimes it's just a shadow behind someone's smile. One evening, months later, she finally said what I had been waiting to hear without ever asking for it. I'm sorry. She whispered, voice trembling. I shouldn't have done what I did. I let someone else influence how I treated you. I didn't realize what I was losing. I didn't cry. I didn't break. I didn't hold on to the wound. I just breathed, because healing, true healing, is not about hearing the apology. It's about becoming someone who no longer needs it to move forward. I forgave her, not because she deserved it, but because I deserved peace. And that's the quiet revenge life gave me. Not anger, not payback, not humiliation. But growth, confidence, self-worth. She could see shining in my eyes every time she looked at me. She lost the version of me who lived for her approval, and I found the version of myself who lived for her own. In the end, I didn't lose a sister. I simply lost the illusion that she would always choose me, and I gained myself in the process. That was the real revenge, the one I never expected.